Let's go live now to the Deputy Liberal Leader Sussan Ley. You heard the defence there from Jason Clare as to the appointment of the new Fair Work Commission President. He says it's chalk and cheese with some of the appointments made by the former coalition government. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I never discuss individuals because the people who are appointed are human beings, and so I never take direct aim at individuals, Kieran. But what I will say is that I have seen Labor make lots of mates appointments, and classic examples of following the imperatives delivered to them by their mates was their rushing through of the industrial relations legislation last year, looking after unions and looking after unions and looking after unions, but not looking after the struggling manufacturing sector and not conscious of the effect of this policy on small business. And as I often say, Kieran, under this Albanese government, everything is going up except your wages.
And is it fair to say that all political parties do it essentially when in office? That there are appointments made of Liberals when coalition's in office and vice versa with Labor?
Liberals can be appointed on merit. Labor Party people can be appointed on merit. Merit is the key thing.
A major challenge for Peter Dutton looming not far from where you are in the seat of Aston with the by-election. Is this a seat that you should be holding, given you haven't lost it for decades? You're saying you're the underdog, but really you should hold it, shouldn't you, at the upcoming by-election?
Look, by-elections always are tricky propositions, and Alan Tudge was a local member for many years who delivered substantial outcomes for the seat of Aston. So his loss, his personal vote, will certainly be a factor. Yes, we are the underdogs because, as I said, he was a significant local member, and the contribution that individuals make is often the thing that people vote for when they come to the ballot paper, as they did in 2022. But the point here, Kieran, is that the coalition will be working incredibly hard to demonstrate to the people of Aston, that this Labor government is leaving them behind. Another broken promise by Anthony Albanese, who said he would leave no one behind. I certainly know that when it comes to power prices, mortgages and the cost of groceries, that will be front and centre when people go and consider their choices at this by-election, because it's front and centre of so many discussions in so many households across Australia at the moment.
Indeed it is. Also front and centre is the candidate. In your view, how important is it that your party has a female candidate at this by-election?
It's very important, and I've been talking about needing more women in the parliament for many, many years, and we won't reach parity if we don't appoint a woman when a man retires. So I look forward to a woman candidate in Aston. That decision is, of course, one for the Victorian Liberal Party, and they will have a great choice to make, and I know they will select an outstanding candidate. And most importantly, it will be a candidate who steps out there representing Liberal values and community connection. Because from this Labor government sitting in Canberra and making statements from there, I don't see them out in the real world. I don't see them in the small businesses I visit, in the on the manufacturing floors that I stand with the workers, and the control rooms where I listen to those companies show me their electricity bill and how difficult and challenging it's going to be for them, and what decisions they're going to have to make as they look to the future. So these issues will be brought to the fore in Aston, I'm sure.
On the power prices issue, Treasury analysis released shows that the increase in power prices won't be as stark as otherwise would have happened without the government intervention. Do you welcome that news?
Well, with all due respect to Treasury, this is not entirely independent analysis. This is analysis done by the Treasurer's own department. And look, if Australians are being told, instead of your power prices going up extremely significantly, they're just going to go up significantly, then good luck with that message, because That doesn't take away from the promise made 97 times before the election that your power prices would go down by $275. So how about the Prime Minister demonstrate some leadership, stand behind this analysis if he wants to, and actually tell Australians when they will see a reduction in their power prices, how much that reduction will be, and either disown that promise made before the election of the $275 reduction in power prices and move to something else that actually reassures people about the future.
Don't you think most observers, though, would see the international factors at play here, not the least of which the conflict in Ukraine, which has helped driving up power prices right around the world?
Well, of course, national and international factors play a part, Kieran, but that promise was made after the beginning of the war in Ukraine, and those factors were well known at the time that Anthony Albanese came into government. Now, we made this point in the Parliament last week when it comes to inflationary pressures. I mean, over 9 years of coalition government, the jobs came and went from different sectors, that volatility was in the economy, but we had the policy settings right. So with 100 meetings of the Reserve Bank of Australia, interest rates went up once. Under this government, which doesn't have the policy settings right, the Reserve Bank has met 8 times and interest rates have gone up 8 times. Now, that's the clear contrast that I think Australians are starting to see.
On interest rates, and again, it goes to those international factors, is the context that I ask you about this statement. But Peter Dutton on Friday said about Labor, the reality is they make bad decisions that increase interest rates. What bad decisions is he referring to?
Well, I can name one in my own shadow portfolio of industry, and that's the National Reconstruction Fund. So Labor had that on the parliamentary schedule this week. They withdrew it because they're not going to get crossbench support for it. That's part of $45 billion of off-budget spending. Now, the IMF has warned against these off-budget vehicles. You pump in $45 billion of taxpayers' money, it all has to be paid back. And of course, it's going to add inflationary pressure. And again, that's going to hurt Australian households. That's going to push up interest rates. And it's important that we as an opposition hold this government to account. And while, Jason Clare previously said we were doing this to be obstructive, this National Reconstruction Fund is not answering the needs of struggling manufacturers. It's answering the needs of the Labor Party and the unions, because it's not addressing right now what it needs to, which is workforce shortages, supply chain disruption, and of course, energy costs.